it's lovely to have you here. Welcome back to my channel. This is episode 3 of One Take Hot Take. We're making it happen. I'm very proud of myself. Today we are talking about arrival fallacy, and if this is your first time here to my channel, welcome. Like I said, my name is Hannah Benhood and I am an artist and an architect. And this is a podcast that I record in one take. So forgive the ums and ahs, there's going to be a few of them, but the whole idea behind this podcast is that it's just a very laid back conversation about things that affect us as artists and designers. So if you like this, there are two more other episodes, and in between these episodes I do a lot more like scripted videos about all sorts of things that deal with art and design. So let's just jump into today's topic. So I thought today I would talk about arrival fallacy, whilst I've been thinking about this, every time I think about what to talk about today, I just think of cliche after cliche. So I feel like we should do some sort of drinking game, right? So whenever I drop a cliche, you got to take a shot, because it's kind of hard to talk about arrival fallacy without getting all woo-woo. But let me try my best. So if you haven't heard of the term arrival fallacy before, it is the feeling where you think you will reach a certain milestone and that will kind of like unlock your happiness. And although I feel like I am generally actually a very happy person, I feel like I can really relate to this in terms of thinking about my career. And I wondered whether some of you guys might feel the same too. So I thought this is kind of the perfect place to talk about it. And I think this is because I feel like there are these constant milestones that we set ourselves, and we kind of imagine life to be a certain way once we hit those. And I thought, for an example, the reason that what made me think about this topic was the last episode, when I talked about the reality of kind of making a full-time living from your artwork, and how that didn't quite live up to my expectations, even though I absolutely love what I do. And I thought about all the other things that I kind of had as goals, and then all of a sudden, very quickly, they become kind of mundane, or like just, you know, you have to really, I feel, put in the effort to remember, and I think I even saw this on Instagram, get ready with your first shot, right? The idea of remember what you wanted, remember when you wanted what you have right now. And I try to remind myself of that a lot. So let's give some examples, for instance. For example, I would say like one of my big goals was to have my own studio in London, my own artist studio. Look where I am. I mean, it's incredible. It's amazing. I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I can afford this space. But like, quickly, it becomes just like another thing that you have, and it's not really until sometimes people come over and visit me and they're just like, wow, this is amazing. I'm like, do you know what? This is amazing, Hannah. Well done for getting here. And I would say the same for becoming a full-time artist. Like, that was a goal of mine for so long. For so long, I really was like, this is what I want to happen. I want to make my career, I want to be an artist, and I want to get paid to make art. And I was like battling. And, you know, I've finally got there now. Now this year I'm going into my 3rd year of being a full-time artist, which I am like super proud of. But I suppose I imagined it to be like I don't know, maybe like a bit easier, or like, not easier. I don't know, maybe I did think it'd be easier. I just thought there would be this sort of like, I suppose I think what I do is sometimes attach too much of a fantasy to my goals. And they will never live up to like the sort of dreams that I have. And I heard someone say the other day, and it's kind of, in a way it's a bit depressing, but another way it's quite cathartic, I think, to think about, that nothing in life is ever as good or as bad as it seems. And in one way that's a bit like gutting, because you're like, oh. But another way, I suppose, I think it's kind of like it helps you out, I think, especially if you are like comparing yourself to others, to someone who's got something that you want, whether that be a certain commission from a certain gallery or, you know, whatever it may be. And I know I've definitely like spoken to artists before and I've said, oh my God, that project you did, wow, it was so amazing. I look up to it so much. Like, it must have been amazing to work on. And they're like, oh my God, it was an absolute nightmare. And so you never really quite know what the realities of like what you're aiming for. And I think the other thing that I think about when it comes to arrival fallacy is that I think the fact that I am incredibly ambitious is kind of the same, that same part of me is the same thing that makes me quickly move on to the next thing and the next goal that I'm aiming for. And so I don't really want to like completely get rid of that bit of me, because I think that's the drive. That is the drive that gets me up. That is the drive that maybe you need if you work for yourself, if you work as a freelancer. No one is making you do anything, so you need to get up and strive for more. So it's kind of tricky, because I feel like that those two things kind of battle against each other. There's this one bit of me that's like, Hannah, is anything ever going to be enough? And the other bit of me is like, absolutely not. You know, nothing is ever enough. There is no goal you can hit which will make you feel like you have enough, because that's not your personality. So I suppose what I'm trying to kind of like retrain myself to think, like, at the moment I've had a project that's been like really quite tricky to navigate, and I need to remember like that is actually the goal. The goal is to be in a situation to have projects that are like difficult to navigate, because you can't have, for instance, for my example, you can't have large scale public artwork happen without complicated projects. Like, those two things are intertwined. So I'm trying to reframe my mind as not just thinking about the milestones that I actually want to achieve, but think about, I don't know if I can say the word enjoy, because it's not always enjoyable, but like appreciate the process to get to those milestones, which are then do, at least momentarily, feel so good-ish. Because I'm also the kind of artist that when I finished a job, I'm like, I can't even look at this. Like, take me away. I hate it. I hate all of it, because I've usually spent so much time with it. It usually takes me about 6 months before then I look back at a job and I'm like, do you know, Hannah, that was really good. But like, at the time, I'm like, oh my God, all I see is all the pain, all the mistakes, all the things that we proposed but got cut because of funding. Like, that's all I usually see when I look at a project. I see what could have been right at the end, because I'm just too close to it. But upon reflection, I usually feel a bit better about my projects. So yeah, I'm just kind of beginning to think more about that, and thinking that like the pain and the struggle and the relentlessness of this job is actually, in itself like what I was aiming for. And also I feel like there's a real issue, I think, with like maybe peaking too soon, and with culturally with that being really like ingrained in us, you know, with these things like 30 under 30 and like stuff like that, like by Forbes magazine, like you have to like be this amazing thing like as young as possible. And actually I think when you think about that, you don't really want to hit your peak at like 25, because then what are you going to do for the rest of your life? Do you know what I mean? So even though it can really feel like this thing will make me happy, this amount of followers, this commission, this studio, this amount of money will finally make me feel X, Y, or Z about my career or about my artwork, you know, well, either you would have to like maintain that high, or you kind of come down again. So I feel like what I would want to like aim for is like peaking at like 62. At 62, I would love to be like, rah, Hannah, you smashed that, babe. You can't get any better than that. One of the things that I have incorporated into my daily routine, actually, I do it just before I lock my phone up at night, is that I have started a gratitude journal. I know. Bleh, bleh. Who even am I? I never thought I would say those words, but honestly, I have to say, it has helped. It has helped because what it does, I feel, is that it makes me stop and have a daily moment where I'm like, life is good, Hannah. Life is good. Everything's on track. You're doing well. Excuse me. Even on the days that aren't going so well, I can find something. And I tried a gratitude journal once before this time, and I found it really hard because I was writing down things that are way too big. I was like, I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my husband. And then I was like, I ran out of things after week 1. But this time round when I do it, I'm super specific, and like it can be the smallest thing. Like I'm grateful that I didn't have to have an alarm clock today to wake me up because I work for myself. I'm grateful that someone commented on my YouTube who's a complete stranger. I'm grateful for the fact that I found a hobby on top of my paid work, which is colouring in, and it makes me feel good. So like every day now I have managed to actually write something which could be super small about something that I'm grateful for. And I think about it a lot when it comes to my artwork. And I think it's a really great way to kind of try and not get too caught up in arrival fallacy. So yeah, and then is there any more cheesy quotes that I have heard that might help us with this? The only other one I can think of, but I cannot even say this. Right, obviously, it's not the destination, it's the journey. Ugh. Yes, we know that, but I did hear someone say it's not the destination, it's not the journey, it's the people you travel with. And I was just like, I like that. Okay, I hear you. Definitely take a shot for that one because it's still cheesy AF, but I thought that was kind of like a nice way to think about it, because sometimes I'm like, this journey sucks, you know, but like actually finding good people along the way to connect with, whether that's online or real life, is really what makes this job, I think. So yeah, that is my little one take hot take for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love you to hear your thoughts on arrival fallacy, and I look forward to catching up with you in a couple of weeks. Take care.